Hi, I'm Darlene Freeman, or Duchess Darlene the Learned of the Alabama Renaissance Faire. And this is
Lord William of Lincolnshire, William Freeman, also of the Renaissance Faire.
And today we're talking about all the different projects we do through the school systems, the Boy Scouts, libraries.
Because the Renaissance Faire was founded through the Florence City School Systems on education, so what we wanted to do is give back, because we know that a lot of what you see at the Renaissance Faire excuse me, may not be as accurate to history as we would like it. So we can kind of control that when we go to a school, a library, because a lot of us have a love of that time period. And this is another way for us to share and give that love back to all of you in the community.
We have so many volunteers with so many talents. We have a group of about 30 who are just always there, always willing, hands-on to do things. And some of us are educators by profession. So I'm a retired teacher, and one of the things that I did for at least 2 decades, I guess, was to coordinate educational programs in school systems throughout Alabama. And I think we even went to Tennessee one year. I know that you did, because you went with the Gutenberg Press and did some things.
Well, Don Green, one of our volunteers, took it up there. He and I went to a private school there in Nashville and have done some things. And like Darlene said, she's got the credentials behind it, so you know that when we come into your classroom that your kid's not going to learn something that we picked off the internet and said, well, I think this, let's go with this because it looks like it might be cool to say. And then other volunteers, like my brother Lee, who's done the sword, the thing on swords, he may not have that degree, but he probably has forgotten more about medieval Renaissance than I will ever learn. So, because he studies and reads and learns, and that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is that we know we want to get it right when we speak. And let me just tell you this, what if you want us to come? What do you got to do? Well, you just got to reach out to the Renaissance Faire through Facebook or through the website and say, hey, I want you to come to my school. And all we ask is travel expenses, because we're a nonprofit. We don't make money on it. We just want to share what we know with your class, and we guarantee, whether it's a school, a library, a scout troop, a community event, whatever it is, a community club, organization, we'll give you something that you and your people will remember for years to come.
And believe me, the students really do remember it. We can do anything from 15 minutes to an entire day mini fair event, and those are some of the most fun things that we've done. We'll have somebody talk about medieval medicine, surgical tools, musical instruments, you name the topic. We'll find some person in our group among us who can talk knowledgeably about it.
A lot of it varies on, because since we're all volunteer, we don't get paid, we have to go by, okay, when we have an event, who's available, what's their schedule like, and if you reach out to us in enough time, like a head time leeway, then more of our volunteers can say, okay, I would like to do that, let me put it on my calendar, because if it's during the daytime, for example, during the week, some of them might have to take off from work, or whatever that case may be. So if we have the right people, we can bring lots of show and tell pieces, armor, weapons.
If some school systems don't allow us to use swords anymore.
Right, yeah, some of them don't, but the ones that do, we're safe. We keep them away from the kids, but we do have lots of show and tell pieces, which is really what sets, I think, what most people are so like, not just the knowledge we have, but we come packing with stuff.
Well, and one of the things that I'm planning right now is there's a school system that's asked my husband and I to come down. My husband has a full suit of 14th century armor, and they really want a lesson on chivalry and knighthood, and how do you become a knight. So we're going to do this for a 5th grade group very soon, and he's going to demonstrate how to wear the armor, and then I'm going to talk about the role of the lady and the knight's lady in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. So And we can tailor this to
Yep.
any age group.
That brings up,
too.
that's a valid point. It doesn't matter if you're a fifth grader or if you're a college student or even a retiree, because we have done things for assisted living for seniors, and we've done for alumni here at our university here where we live, University of North Alabama. We did an alumni banquet for them, and then we've done even kindergartners. One of the things that I do with these demos is I teach medieval and Renaissance dancing, and I taught simple dances to like preschool and kindergartners.
And they loved it.
And if you, yeah, well, and that goes to show, if a kindergartner can learn these steps, then and people sit there, well, I can't dance. Well, so we can cater what we do to what you need.
And I set up a maypole for second graders, which was all kinds of fun. And we talked about the history of the maypole the kids danced it. And then I also had a basket of different toys and games that they played in the Renaissance time. And we talked about that. And then, they loved the food. I took a trencher, an actual trencher, a piece of hard bread, and showed them how a sop was made and how the trencher was used to sop up the food. And so we can modify that for any age group.
Yeah, and there's your medieval fact for the day, for this video, is a bread trencher. They didn't have plates. A lot of them didn't have plates in medieval times. That was a later thing. They had that hard piece of bread cut like a plate, and they would eat it, and then when they were done, they would sop up all the juices with the bread, and if they were benevolent folk, they would throw it out to the peasants who would get a meal. Otherwise, they might give it to the dogs for scraps. But
do you remember when we did the Boys and Girls program that year? And there were about 4 or 5 of us as volunteers there, and we all come in costume, and usually our costumes represent different time periods, and it just worked out that because we just choose our costumes randomly usually.
Yeah.
But we had like 500 years of history represented just in what we were wearing. So we just sort of launched from that point and then spent the entire time answering questions. We really didn't do so much of a planned program as just whatever struck the fancy of the children.
And we do that. So many of our volunteers have such a wide array of knowledge from medieval times to the Renaissance times that we could just stand there and if we said, hey, do you have questions? The kids at the schools and at the libraries that we've done, they'll raise their hands and definitely, but we have to give them a time limit because we got to get back to class. And so we could do that, but we also find that if you have show and tell pieces that the kids really love to look at the weapons when school starts bring them in, or the armor pieces, and then we have music that we can play through our Bard in the Box that will give the kids an idea of what the top 40 was back in 1422. And it's really good, solid. We give you a good, whether it's 45 minutes or 2 hours or an all-day thing, we're jam-packed full of stuff. And there's no downtime where the kid's like, well, what are they going to do next? I'm bored.
Well, talk about the Boy Scouts for just a minute, because I never got to do the Boy Scout programs. I mean, women were allowed to do the Boy Scout programs, but it just never worked out with my schedule. So I know one year y'all really saved the weekend for the Boy Scouts because of the weather and stuff.
Yes. Well, there's a camp here, and at least here the Shoals here, or Camp Westmoreland. It's like on what we call Shoals Creek, and it's a summer camp for the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, and they have a week-long event where they just go out there after school from like 4 to 8, something like that, and they do all kinds of outdoor activities. And the first year we went, they were doing themes, and they were doing sort of a medieval Renaissance theme that year, and we said, hey, would you guys come out? And we said, sure. And we worked it out so a bunch of us could do it. And since we're all volunteers and we have real life that we have to deal with, they wanted us every day, and we couldn't, but not everybody could. So some of us, like I managed to be there every day, but our display guy, Don Green, who's like got an armory in his house, and he came like on the last day. So we kind of built up, so each day we would do different things. So we just kind of broke our usual 45-minute, hour and a half demo, and we just broke it up. So each day we do a little bit different. And then by the time we got to the end, we had the culmination where Don had all his display items, and then we also have volunteers who do sword fighting. And they do 17th century, really, from the 1630s. They do rapiers, and they do big two-handed swords and axes and daggers. So they do real fighting, and before you get all like, ooh, they train for hours, they're insured, licensed, bonded. I mean, they make sure that the edges are dulled, tips are blunted, but they learn how to do this. And they end with they show some fighting, and the kids, their favorite of anything, we danced, we had the show and tell, but they loved more than anything was when the sword fighters were slicing watermelons and pumpkins with the swords. That was it. And then what she's talking about is the next time we came, it was pouring down rain, and you've got all these kids, and they're landlocked inside this one building, and they can't go out. And it's like you go outside and just stand there for 1 second, and you've had a shower, you're soaked. That's how bad it was, and it was muddy and gunky, and no one wanted to get out. And we were already there, but we were not going to be necessarily in that building. We were hoping to be outside and have lots of room to kind of do our thing.
So you just shifted into Plan B mode.
Plan B. We went in and we spent, and they had activities, and they were going to rotate us through. You know, we'll have a group come and a group come, or we might, but we weren't scheduled to be there the whole time. But we said, you got us, we'll use us. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, okay. And we had enough volunteers that we spoke on a lot of things, and those kids, I don't think, realized, hey, it's raining outside, because they had enough material that we kept them occupied. And we had another one of our volunteers who he's got a replica of a medieval handgun, a medieval cannon, which was as much likely to blow up in your face as it was to work. And if it did work, it probably would miss its target anyway. But he had it on and he would show the kids kind of how you use it and how you load it, and really good. That's one of our highlights as volunteers, is getting to interact with these kids.
Well, I know it's one of my most favorite things to do, whether we go to a library or an elementary school or a high school, and that's my love, is high school. I love the high school age. And
sure.
We have done so many different programs and so many configurations over the years, and it just never gets old for us. And because we keep getting requested to come back to different museums and parties and picnics and programs, you know, but we're out here, we're available to you. All you have to do is contact us through Facebook or through our website.
And what's our mileage like? If we were to go outside, if you're in the Shoals area, we don't have to go far. We're local. We won't necessarily charge. But if we have to leave the Shoals area, then we have what do we charge for mileage? What's the going rate?
I don't remember exactly.
I thought it was something like 50 cents a mile.
At one time, I think it was 51 cents a mile.
Right.
I don't know.
But that's not that.
And it's not a deal breaker.
No.
It's a
but
negotiable
you
thing.
can look. But if you're doing, you're like, well, I'd like to have you, but I'm short of money. You can figure in somewhere around 50 cents. But that's, like she said, that's not a deal breaker. But that'll give you a base idea. We just want gas money. Mm-hmm. And then now there have been times where we've had such a large group wanting to go. We had to rent a van and all that. Our biggest year was in 2005, 2006, around in there. I like to call that was the year, that was the year of the library, because we went down to the state library conference in Montgomery.
Right, exactly.
And
that was so much fun.
And we advertised ourselves to all these librarians that were all together in one room. And the minute we got up and we were in our costumes, and we didn't do our demo, we just pretty much said, look, this is us. And
we did for them what we're doing for you right now.
we sold ourselves, and that year we must have done 10 to 15 different libraries, all the way from Montgomery, Birmingham, Decatur, Haleyville, Hamilton, and even some locally in the Shoals area. And so if you're a librarian and you see this, well, you need to get on to your people and say, hey, this is something that we can do for you, because we're accustomed to libraries.
And if you want to be part of us,
Oh.
all you have to do is join our roundtable, because we're always looking for knowledgeable volunteers, or even non-knowledgeable volunteers who have a passion for the Alabama Renaissance.
Sure, because I'll tell you, when I started this job, I didn't know a thing. I knew what I saw. I knew what Hollywood had told me, and they got it wrong a lot. But when I started going to the schools, and because in the beginning I knew nothing, and I had a costume, but I knew nothing, and I had a job that I did at the fair, and I did it at the feast, but I had no. But the people that knew, like Darlene and like our friend Don, my brother Lee, I watched the people that did, and they taught me, because I absorbed, and it may have took me 10 years or whatever, but eventually it's stuck in my brain. So now then I can go to the school, and even if you're like, well, but I don't know if I can remember all this, well, if you just have a costume and you're standing there, the kids, that's going to be just atmosphere, that's going to be entertainment to them to say, hey, look at that cool costume. And then those of us who do know can say, well, let's have you show the costume, and we'll kind of explain what this costume is and all that. So you don't have to have the knowledge, because the knowledge will come if you want it. You just have to, because I learned by doing.
And you'll always have somebody there who's got your back.
Oh yeah,
So-
that's the thing. It's not a one-man show. It's a group effort. And if what I don't know, Darlene's going to be able to pick up the slack. And what she doesn't, or she may forget. I should have said, well, maybe Lee or Don or somebody else will pick it up.
So, click like and subscribe to the Alabama Renaissance Faire YouTube channel, and we will
Please.
see you next time.
Yes.